Summary of the Waters written by Bonnie Jo Campbell. Chapter 0. In the quiet town of Whitehart, Michigan, Msaga Island stood as a testament to a peculiar history that veiled the community in mystery and folklore. It was a place where desperate mothers once abandoned baby girls, and young women sought remedies to prevent pregnancies. At the heart of the island lay Rose Cottage, the residence of the herbalist Hermine herself Zook and her 3 daughters, Primrose, a successful lawyer, Mary Rose, or Molly, a practical nurse, and the youngest, Rose Thorn, described as both lazy and beautiful. The island, surrounded by giant willows and accessed through a narrow bridge over the waters, was shrouded in local dreams and superstitions. The people of Whitehart believed that the island women shared dreams and did as they pleased, defying societal norms. The island, though boarded up, continued to draw locals seeking the discredited remedies of herself, especially at night when jars and bottles were surreptitiously retrieved. To reach Msaga Island, one had to head northeast off the old highway onto County Road 681, turn left at Dinsick's Barn, and navigate through a potholed lane known as Schoolhouse Road. The schoolhouse itself had burned down before anyone living could remember, leaving only a name and the memories of those who walked its halls. The road led to Lover's Road, flanked by a gun club on one side, and farm fields on the other. The narrative unfolds as a journey through Whitehart's landmarks. Past the Muck Rattler Tavern, housed in a military-issue Quonset hut, the journey leads to farm fields and the Boneset Table, a high-ceilinged 2-story house, named Boneset, owned by Wild Will Zook, overlooked the waters. The house, never painted and glowing silver at sunrise and sunset, stood as a silent witness to the family's complex history. Wild Will had ventured into the waters half a century ago, falling in love with Hermine after she treated his rattlesnake bite. The waters, a place where healing waters percolated to the surface, became a backdrop to their unconventional love story. Despite their marriage, Rose Cottage remained empty, and Hermine's unwavering determination kept it that way. Wild Will, known for his extravagant gestures, bought the Boneset land and built the cedar house, hoping to convince Hermine to live with him on the mainland. Yet, her stubbornness prevailed, and the house stood empty, a symbol of Hermine's power. As the narrative delves deeper into the past, it becomes evident that Hermine's medicines underwent a transformation. Initially pleasant, sweet, and flavored with blackberries and honey, they became raw and potent, leaving burns upon application. The aged whiskey she once produced for Wild Will was replaced by bootleg juice that stripped enamel off men's teeth. Signs of menacing skulls appeared at the edges of her swamped property, signaling a shift in the nature of her remedies. Hermine, once generous in allowing people onto the island for various treatments, became more reclusive. After sending Wild Will away, her cures changed, and she dispensed medicine sparingly, meeting patients by the road at the Boneset Table. The once healing rituals involving leeches, maggots, and shallow mineral pools ceased, replaced by a more intense and fearful approach. The waters, spanning 6,000 acres, was mostly under state protection, with Hermine's section being the exception. The narrative then shifts to the present, focusing on Rose Thorn, the youngest daughter, who, despite her carefree nature, existed in a semi-languid state during cold weather. Rose Thorn, with her golden hair and memories of winter escapades, became the focal point of the community's dreams. The local men and women, in their hunger for beauty, dreamt of her returning like a bright stream or a sly starved animal. As winter in Whitehart persisted, the men occasionally visited the island, drawn by a mix of superstition, guilt, respect, and fear. The Boneset Table, once a hub of healing, now held odd vegetables or berries left by unknown hands. The once vibrant Rose Cottage was now dark and shrouded in fog, its windows shattered and covered with plywood. Old sounds of frogs, owls, and goatsuckers filled the night, triggering a sense of longing and restlessness in the men. The story captures the community's struggle with change and nostalgia, oscillating between past and present. The haunting atmosphere and the contrast between the once lively Rose Cottage and its current desolation evoke a profound sense of loss. The men, seeking solace in the old mystery of the island, occasionally engaged in nocturnal activities, shooting at the darkened cottage or firing rounds into the fog. The narrative takes a poignant turn as it explores the family's mysterious past, hinting at a crime involving Wild Will and Hermine's stepdaughter Primrose. The decision to send Wildwool away, despite the lack of legal consequences, preserved his reputation and added to his mystique. The town, fueled by whispers and secrets, held on to the memory of Hermine's unconventional choices. As the story unfolds, it becomes apparent that the once vibrant island, with its healing powers and communal rituals, had transformed into a place of isolation and fear. The changes in Hermine's remedies mirrored the shifts in her life, from a woman who shared dreams with others to one who dispensed fear-inducing potions. The men, in their attempts to reclaim the old mysteries, found themselves sickened by the reality of a decaying island and a crumbling bridge. In the end, the narrative leaves the reader with a sense of unresolved tension and a town grappling with its own history. The once powerful Hermine Zook, now living in a state of brumation, seemed to have withdrawn from the community, leaving the people of Whiteheart to wrestle with their memories and fears. The island, with its waters and Rose Cottage, stood as a testament to the passage of time and the ghosts of a family's unconventional past. Chapter 1. Once upon a time, in the small town of Whiteheart, nestled within the Black Muck floodplains, the Muck Rattler Lounge served as a communal haven. This town, named not for its European settlers, but for the once flourishing Whiteheart celery, had a rich history deeply rooted in the art of farming. The celery, renowned for its unparalleled sweetness and tenderness, was the town's pride, supporting families for half a century. However, the vibrant fields that once yielded the world's sweetest celery now lay fallow. The sweetness had faded, and with it, the heartbeat of Whiteheart. The taxes were low, and farm families struggled to revive the glory days, the celery that had once sustained them. The narrative, however, didn't begin with the decline of the celery but with the absence of 3 daughters belonging to herself. Herself, a mysterious and elderly figure in the community, was known for her unconventional remedies that tasted especially bitter lately. Her daughters, Rosie, Primrose, and Molly, had dispersed, leaving herself bereft. Rosie, the youngest, had sought solace with her sister Primrose in California. Primrose had fled as far from herself as possible, choosing the distant state to create a chasm between them. Molly, the middle daughter, was in Lansing, engrossed in an intensive nurse practitioner training program. The tale, therefore, embarked on the journey of the daughters, tracing their absence and the impact it had on herself and the community. 14 years ago, on May 8, the sun shone brilliantly, yet not on the people of Whiteheart. Dense cloud cover prevented the sunlight from penetrating the town. Herself, despite her bitterness, still resided on Massasauga Island. She was known for curing ailments. Her medicines, however, had acquired a bitter taste in the absence of her daughters. Reverend Roy, nephew of the old Reverend, delivered a sermon that day, leaving the congregants shivery, light-headed, and overwhelmed. The sermon's impact lingered, urging the people to resist seeking anything from herself, linking suffering to the knowledge of God. Roy, experiencing physical pain from recent surgery, saw his suffering as a test from the Almighty. The narrative shifted to a handful of men, sons of farmers and a hired man, gathering at the Muck Rattler Lounge after the church service. The men, seeking solace, drank their after-church beers and pops, attempting to ease the ache and longing that followed the unsettling sermon. The atmosphere inside the windowless bar was dark due to the power outage, compelling the men to gather outside at the picnic table by the road. The landscape painted a picture of ancient black willows, towering higher than the ordinary species. Soft ground, courtesy of the previous night's storms, and lush green foliage marked the swampy terrain. The men, after the recent sermon's impact, felt an unease and longing that manifested in their interactions. Reverend Roy's words echoed in their minds as they conversed. Knowledge of God, he asserted, was born from the furnace of affliction. A lightning bolt of pain surged through Roy's lower back, intensifying his suffering, especially in Molly's absence. The men, dealing with their own discomforts, gathered under the milky sky, shouting over the gas-powered generator that kept the Muck Rattler's refrigerators running. The farmers, influenced by a changing climate, had started planting earlier, defying the traditions passed down by their grandfathers. The act of early planting became a silent rebellion, a response to the slight warming of the planet felt in their bones. The narrative explored their motivations, a curious gambling spirit that led them to defy established patterns, waking at odd hours to plant their fields. The women in the community, though mostly waiting to plant vegetable gardens, expressed solidarity by planting prematurely. They sprouted extra seeds for a second crop, preparing for uncertainties. The men at the Muck Rattler, including the charismatic Titus Clay, awaited his arrival, finding comfort and humor in his presence. Titus, a young farmer of 24, brought laughter and camaraderie. The men admired him for his jokes, Bible references, and insightful comments. His absence left an uneasiness, and the men, attempting to fill the void, adjusted their collars and belts, yearning for Titus's arrival. The conversation veered towards herself and her unconventional remedies. Some men recalled the potency of her medicines, while others resisted seeking her help. The conflict between Reverend Roy's emphasis on suffering and herself's alternative healing methods echoed in their discussions. As the men awaited Titus, a mysterious figure appeared down Lover's Road. The speculation about the figure's identity added an element of intrigue. The landscape, with its bubbling swamp springs and blooming wildflowers, became a canvas for the unfolding events. The men, captivated by the approaching figure, speculated about a possible humpback or a lost yellow lab mix. The arrival of Smiley Smith, the Muck Rattler's keeper, added a touch of humor to the scene. Smiley's announcement and banter lightened the atmosphere. The men, engrossed in conversation and speculation, pondered over the identity of the approaching figure. The anticipation built, and the swampy landscape became a stage for the unfolding drama. In the distance, the cattails, chorus frogs, and green frogs provided a symphony of sounds, setting the backdrop for the unfolding events. The men, clustered around the picnic table, held heavy-bottomed draft glasses or chilled aluminum cans, feeling the vibrations of the nearby humming generator. The narrative hinted at a blend of tradition, changing dynamics within the community, and a touch of mystery. The swampy landscape, with its rich history and folklore, became a character in itself, holding secrets and stories yet to be uncovered. The story left the readers eager to unravel the mysteries hidden within the heart of Whitehart.